Good morning, dear students. Welcome back. We'll continue with chapter 3, which we started in the previous video, and we learnt about India's defense system. Okay, so we'll be continuing with the same. In the previous chapter, we learnt how the defense structure is and how Army, Navy, and Air Force are working for us. Now we'll continue with the next part of the lesson, that is the paramilitary forces. Now children, what are these paramilitary forces? There are these paramilitary forces to help the defense forces in India. Okay, now see, the defense force cannot be available throughout the whole country, or it cannot function in multiple ways. So there are these paramilitary forces which work as a help to the Indian army or the military forces. They are neither completely military forces nor completely civil forces. Hence, they are called paramilitary forces. Now, what is their main task, children? Their main task is to help the defense forces. For example, you must have heard the BSF, Coast Guard, Central Reserve Police Force, Rapid Action Force. All these come under the paramilitary forces. Yes? The paramilitary forces are responsible for the security of important locations like railway station, oil depots, water reserves, etc. See, you all must have seen that there are these paramilitary forces available on main or highlighted public places like the railway station. See, CRPF is always available at the railway station. If you all must have observed sometimes, they are always there guarding the railway stations. Then, similarly, they play a role in management of disaster, whether natural or man-made. The responsibility of protecting the country's international borders during peacetime also rests with the paramilitary forces. Now, see, not only these places, but during the disasters, it may be an earthquake or man-made disaster like terrorism or a bomb spot or something like that. So, during these times, they are actively ready to protect the nation. Okay. Now, the Border Security Force, that is the BSF, performs tasks like creating a sense of security in the minds of people living in areas near the border, preventing smuggling, patrolling the border, etc. Now, see, what does this BSF do, children? They are mainly guarding the borders. Now, there is lot of things which can happen in on the borders. Like anytime, it can be a crucial time. It can be a war. There can be some firing, etc. continuously, which is going on these borders. So, what do this BSF do? They protect or they create a sense of security so that the people are not afraid. Okay, there should not be a fear in the minds of people, those who are residing near the borders. Hence, they create a sense of security in those people's mind. Not only that much, but they also prevent smuggling. Yes, there are cross border smuggling which takes place, so they take care of it. Then patrolling the borders, they are always 24/7 guarding the borders so that there should be no problem, or there should be no any illegal activities should not take place. Hence, they are always guarding the borders. The Coast Guard has been created to protect India's oceanic borders. The Coast Guards carry out tasks like protecting the fishing occupation within Indian maritime borders, preventing smuggling along sea routes, etc. Now, see again the Coast Guard here, as we saw that the BSF is protecting the borders. Now, we see that the Coast Guards are protecting the marine borders. Yes, that means in the waters, in the oceanic borders. So through the waterways also there are smuggling activities which takes place. So these coast guards protect the oceanic borders from such things which are happening. They also take responsibility of the fishing occupation within the Indian maritime borders. Okay, children. So I hope you all understood about the Coast Guard and the BSF, the Border Security Forces. Next is the Central Reserve Police Force. The Central Reserve Police Force helps the administration in various states to maintaining law and order. Now see, in every state they have their state-wise police force. So the Central Police Force, we know these what you call, locally everywhere there are police. So these local police are doing their work in the local level, maintaining law, order, etc., protecting their particular locality from any kind of crime. So they are doing their work in the local borders or the local player states. Various states have their own uh, reserve police force. Yes, so the central police force helps the administration in various states. So the base what you can say is they are trying to protect and maintain law and order in the whole of the country, depending, see, various states are there in the country, so depending on the state. The Rapid Action Force performs the task of bringing people's lives to normalcy by moving in quickly in incidents of threat to national security, such as bomb blast or riots. Now see, these are the Rapid Action Force. Can you see? Their uniform, etc., everything is different. So they take care of such emergencies where there is a bomb blast or riots, etc., to bring people's life to normalcy. Next is the NCC, the National Cadet Corps. The National Cadet Corps has been established with the purpose of instilling among students the love of discipline and military training. Boy and girl students from schools and colleges can join the NCC. So children, when you reach your college, automatically you will know that what exactly NCC is. The National Cadet Corps, it is like a training to instill among the students the love for discipline and military training. So it's like a base of military training which is done on the college level. Some schools also have it, higher sections. Next is Home Guards. This organization was established in the pre-independence period. Citizens can join the Home Guard and assist in the defense of the country. Any citizen, man or woman between the age of 20 to 35 years can join the Home Guard. This force has the following tasks: maintain public security, supply of milk, water and other essential service during riots or strikes, to regulate traffic, to help people at the time of natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, etc. So see children, these home guards are basically doing all of these work so that the functioning of the country takes place smoothly. Okay, now it can be joined by any man and woman between the age of 20 to 35. Now see children, next is the challenges to India's security. What type of challenges does India face, that we are going to learn. Right from the time of independence, Pakistan and China have tried to threaten India's national security. There are several disputes between India and Pakistan. For example, the Kashmir issue, disputes over river water sharing, the problems of infiltration, disputes over the borders, etc. Now see children, we have been learning from many class or many lessons that there are disputes between India, Pakistan and China, and what type of relations we have with them. Now we have border issues, we have issues over river water sharing, then we have Kashmir issue, then the problem of infiltration, disputes over the borders, etc. Now, India has continually tried to solve these issues through discussion and negotiations. India and China are important countries in Asia. In 1962, we have had to go to a war with China. As China is trying to establish its own dominance over countries that are India's neighbors, there are tensions in Sino-India relations. There is also a dispute between India and China over their borders. See, even though India tries to solve all these problems mutually, but there are some extent which gets to a limit, and then afterwards it results into a war. So in 1962, there was a war called off with China. Okay, as it was trying to show its hegemony is the word used in the textbook. That means the dominance or to show the power. Okay, even now we have tensions. Even recently you must have seen so many things about China and India were going on in the news. So children, these are things which are continuously going on, and these people have to continuously face these problems and deal with it. Okay, and that is why we are safe and secure sitting in our homes and enjoying our life. The next issue is not only the other countries or the other states, sorry, other countries are creating problems for us, but India's security is not only threatened by outside powers but also from within. It is not just the differences between external security and internal security that is important anymore. Regionalism, religion, several rebellious movements based on ideology, race, ethnicities, and economic inequality are creating instability. For example, the Naxalite movement is a threat to the India's internal security. The other issues are there, but then internal issues like regionalism. People are fighting over the region issue. We belong to so and so community, we belong to so and so state, etc. And then the problem is created. And then this Naxalite movement, which we studied in history, that also is a threat to India's security. Yes or no? And the major issue or the major threat is terrorism. Terrorism is the biggest challenge to India's security. It is a global problem, and India is making efforts to end terrorism. Yes or no? You must have seen so much of things happening so that these terrorists cannot disturb the peace of the country. Yes or no? And India is continuously taking steps towards uh, finishing this terrorism. And it's not only our issue, but it's a global issue. Not only India, but whole of the world is facing terrorism problem. Okay, children. Next, we are going to learn about human security. Now, what is this human security? In the post-Cold War period, the concept of national security changed and became broader. National security is not just the security of the country but also of the people living in it. Because security is ultimately for the people. Yes or no, children? Ultimately, we are trying to protect human life, and that is why not only protecting the borders, protecting the other things, but the main motive is to protect the people living in the country. That they should be feeling safe. They should feel that they are safe. They don't have any threat to their lives, etc. Hence, human security refers to human centric thinking. In human security, it is expected that human beings should be protected from all sorts of dangers, and they should be given the opportunities of education, health, and development. The concept of human security also includes the idea that a conducive environment should be created for everybody to live a respectable life by overcoming illiteracy, poverty, superstition, backwardness, etc. Now, see, children, so as human life is important, so for human, what all things are important, that also should be seen. For example, health, education, and development. All of these opportunities should be given to the people living in the country. And for that, also, there are challenges which are faced by the government. Yes, not only that, but then they have to overcome illiteracy, poverty, superstition, backwardness, etc. In many villages now also there are so many things happening related to superstitions, and people are not getting proper education, so they remain illiterate. Then there are very much backward, and so much of poverty in many places. So all of these should be taken into consideration, and then development plans should be made for them, so that the human being also feels safe and developed. Next, you can see the challenges to human security. Now, there are so many challenges which they have to face. The first is, the biggest challenge to human security is that of terrorism. Again, it's of terrorism, children, because terrorism targets common and innocent people. It aims at creating terror or fear in their minds so that they begin to feel insecure. Thus, in order to protect human security, it is necessary to protect our human beings or our people of the nation and put an end to terrorism. So, children, basically, terrorism creates a lot of disturbance in human beings' minds. So, hence, we have to put an end to this terrorism. Next are the other challenges which are faced. Pollution and other changes in the environment have threatened human life. Diseases like AIDS, chikungunya, swine flu, Ebola have presented to be a big challenge. Protecting human beings from such diseases is also considered as a factor of human security. So, not only other things, but protecting people from such deadly diseases, then causes of diseases, pollution, etc., changes in the environment which are taking place, that is also important. So, children, I hope you all have understood the challenges and the forces which are protecting us and the forces which are helping the Indian Army, then the challenges of the Indian security, and what are the threats to human security, etc. Okay, in this chapter, we have studied India's defense system. We have also tried to understand the changes in the concept of security from national security to human security. In the next chapter, we will study the United Nations, an international organization. We shall understand what efforts it makes to ensure human security. Okay, children, so we have ended our political science portion. I'll be sending you all the notes. Try to read the textbook as much as you can and note down your notes in your notebook. Thank you. Have a nice day.